Hey, welcome back to my studio. Marcelo left a comment asking for a basic beginning heavy metal lesson. So what I'll do is I'll give you 6 beats to work on and a concept that I think would help everybody, and that is the subject of unisons and getting them tight. No human can get things exactly perfect. We're not machines, but the idea is to get them so close that they fool the human ear. And what I'm talking about generally is kind of like a 3-way unison. We're doing double bass patterns, so 2 hands and 1 foot. I would first work on getting 3 limbs to hit it exactly the same time, or as close as possible, right? So here's the 2 hands and the right foot. I would work on that, do it many times, you know, get to know what it feels like when you flam. Flams are great, but in the context that I'm talking about, they're not so great. What you want to do is get them in unison. You don't want to do a flam. Here's an extreme example of a flam between the bass drum and the snare drum. Bass drum hitting first, and here's one with the snare drum hitting first. Right? So you want to get them close. Work on that, you know. Work on 2 limbs first, left hand, right hand with a kick. And then with the other foot. You know, do those many times. Get to know what it feels like when they're bad, and get to know what it feels like when it's tight. You know, with 3 limbs. Here's the 2 hands and the right kick. It's the same kick. I'm using a double pedal. 2 hands and a left kick. You know, do these a lot. There's a certain feeling that you get when they're really tight. And there's a certain feeling you get when they're flamming, you know, and you want them to be really tight. That makes a tight drummer. A tight drummer makes a tight band. Okay, so starting with 16th note based patterns. Number 1 looks like this. Right, so at the places where they're hitting, where you have limbs hitting together, on 1, you've got your right hand and your right foot hitting together, or whatever you're talking. You know, if you're left-handed, then it's going to be left hand, left foot. If you're playing Phil Collins style, and then on 2 and 4, you've got all 3 hitting together. Your right foot and the 2 hands. Right, and that feeling that you get from practicing those unisons is the feeling that you should get when these come around. You know, and do them slow enough that those points are tight, you know, like those need to be tight, right? And you do the pattern enough and you focus on those points, the rest kind of fall into place, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's number 1. Always start slow, with a click, and then you'll get it as fast as you can after that. Number 2 looks like this. And number 3 looks like this. Right, so in context, number 3, I mean, these are all used a lot in heavy metal, which is why I'm telling you about them. All right, number 3 is like. So how many times have you heard that? A lot, if you listen to heavy metal. Okay, so those are the 3 16th based patterns I'm going to give you, and then the next ones are triplet based patterns. Okay. And then these are a little different because you're going to have your weak foot hitting, alternating with your strong foot, right? So here's the first one. So since that's on 3, you're going to be hitting with your strong foot. Now number 2 has the snare drum on 2 and 4, you know, on the backbeat. And what this does, since they're triplets, it's an odd number, your left foot is going to be doing the unison with the hands, if you're right hand, right? Right, so when I'm playing a beat like that, you know, and to put it into context, King Diamond uses this all the time, you know. There's so many beats. Arrival, you know, the first song on Abigail, which is what we've been touring the last 3 tours, 2 or 3, have been the Abigail album, and we've always done Arrival a lot anyway. So I concentrate on 2 and 4 on that pattern and making sure that those are locked tight, you know, and everything just kind of falls into place once you're doing that. Right, so that place where the snare drum's hitting, you want to make sure that it's hitting at exactly the same time. Where's the camera? Okay, and then number 3 is a little different. You have quarter note triplets in the right hand on the cymbal. Okay. Black metal. I hope that helps. Thanks for the question, Marcelo. Leave me any questions you have in the comments, any videos you would like to see, and I'll get to them someday.